Bulls Nation, today we continue the discussion of free agency and we're going to continue the discussion of the point guard position. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got an interesting one to talk about today. In my opinion, one of the very good point guards in the NBA and someone that can definitely improve the Chicago Bulls and is one of my top options if there is an option out there in the point guard position. He's a little bit older and his name is Mike Conley, playing for the Utah Jazz, the first seeded Utah Jazz. And in the end, we have a lot to discuss in terms of this player. So without further ado, let's discuss Mike Conley in this video. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls related video and this one is referring to a point guard that in my opinion is one of my favorite point guards in the NBA today and someone that I believe can suit the Chicago Bulls very well in Mike Conley. His contract is running out for the Utah Jazz. He will be an unrestricted free agent and there is an opportunity, if presented, for the Chicago Bulls to swoop in and take a player like Mike Conley. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Mike Conley. Is he someone the Chicago Bulls should consider? And do you think his age will be a hindering factor for you guys to try and pursue Mike Conley? Would that steer you away from a player like Mike Conley? So, without further ado, I do have a lot of things to talk about in terms of Mike Conley. First things first, what would he bring to the Chicago Bulls? When I look at Mike Conley, I see someone that is still, at the age of 33, a very strong defender and an elite defender at the guard position. I see an all-star because he was an all-star, even though the way that he got into the all-star game was a bit suspect. He still was an all-star. So congratulations to Mike Conley in that retrospect. I see a decent playmaker. I see a very good scorer. I see a three-point shooter. I also see someone that uses his left and he can use his right as well. He's definitely someone that likes to cut to the ring as well and he can do that effectively. In my opinion, Mike Conley is a very well-rounded, all-rounded point guard, and I definitely think that's someone that the Chicago Bulls should very much look into, and he fits the Chicago Bulls needs as well. Again, we've talked about it for a long time. The needs of this team is a good playmaker, a solid playmaker. We also need someone that has the ability to defend, and Mike Conley can do both of those things at an elite level in the NBA today at the age of 33. He's still a very good defender and he has the playmaking side of his game nailed down, and he's gonna just make our team better than what it is. And also, it's not going to be a long-term deal. So for that reason, maybe it is a long-term deal if Mike Conley, if that's what he wants, if he wants guaranteed money. But for the Chicago Bulls, he can also help players like Kobe White, help players like Patrick Williams, who again has that playmaking side that Patrick Williams, we can unlock that side of him. And we also have the defensive, the scoring side. These will help the young players. Mike Conley will be able to do that. His stats this season was 16.2 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 44% from the field and 41% from the three-point line. He is a good three-point shooter. Let's not ignore this. He is a fantastic three-point shooter. He has the ability to make open shots. In my opinion, you put Mike Conley next to Zach Lavine, not only does Zach Lavine get 10 times better as an individual, but Mike Conley will get 10 times better as an individual. Again, Mike Conley is doing fantastically well with an elite player like Donovan Mitchell next to him on the Utah Jazz. He's been able, they're both of them together, have a great connection, and they make each other better. And it's always good to have someone like Mike Conley on your side when you have a superstar like Donovan Mitchell, when you have a superstar that Zach Lavine could be, and obviously you have good centers as well. In my opinion, Mike Conley is a big part of the Utah Jazz's success. He's not the only part. We've got to give credit where it's due. The Utah Jazz has been phenomenal. I've been a very good fan of their play all year. Mike Conley's added a very good part, very good aspect to that. And there's more to that than meets the eye. So Mike Conley doesn't make us the level that the Utah Jazz are. That's what I'm trying to say. I think Utah, even without Mike Conley, are a fantastic team. But Mike Conley will take us closer to the goals that we want. The NBA playoffs, competing in the East. The East is a little bit easier than the West. And for that, you bring Mike Conley in. We have a shot in the East to compete with some of the big boys in this competition. And that's what we want to be. Mike Conley brings that. Now, the question is, would you want to pursue Mike Conley? What contract would you give him? And is he an option for the Chicago Bulls? Well, if you're asking me for my opinion, I absolutely believe Mike Conley needs to be at least an option for the Chicago Bulls. He needs to be someone that has the ability to at least give a chance to the Chicago Bulls, and hopefully Mike Conley can end up liking what the Chicago Bulls have to offer him. Because in the end, there's a lot of conflicting rumors about Mike Conley, how the Jazz will try everything in their power to re-sign him, but they've also had a few arguments in the past this season that will lead Mike Conley to leave. At the end of the day, very conflicting things. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Mike Conley, and I'll tell you what I think will happen to him towards the end of the video. But if there's an option there, if Mike Conley is going to leave the Utah Jazz, I want the Chicago Bulls to be at the front line, because the positives, in my opinion, completely outweigh the negatives. The only negative I see from Mike Conley joining the Chicago Bulls is the long-term contract we may have to give him at the age of 33, and that's it. It's the age. That's the only issue that I have. He's not 23 like Lonzo Ball. That's the big difference between the two, in my opinion, of why we should go for Lonzo Ball first. But Mike Conley is definitely someone, in my opinion, you bring right into this team. He fits right into our team. He adds a lot to this team. He adds that veteran point guard experience, and he will make our team so much better than what it is now. I absolutely think he should be a viable option for the Chicago Bulls, and I sincerely hope, if we're serious about getting better as a team, you look at players like Mike Conley and you strongly consider bringing them into the team, because he suits our needs and he does it at a high level. That is something we can't ignore. Yes, age is an issue, but at the end of the day, I would take the sacrifice of a 33-year-old on this team to make this team better for the long term. And that is something I strongly believe we get with Mike Conley. Now, what do I think will happen? If the Jazz are going to go all out in their power to sign Mike Conley, that's going to be a very, very, very hard temptation for Mike Conley to refuse. So I do think the Utah Jazz are probably the main favorites to re-sign Mike Conley. At the end of the day, they have been paying him a lot of money. He is currently making $34 million, I believe, in this last season. So he got a lot of money from Memphis to the Utah Jazz. Money that many people didn't believe at the start he deserved. And maybe he didn't deserve $34 million, $30 million. But regardless of that fact, he's not going to get paid that much this time around. No one's going to pay him $30 million. But people can pay him 20. People can probably pay him around 25. At the end of the day, all-stars do still cost a lot in this league. So we're going to have to pay big money for Mike Conley. Again, it could be money that's worthwhile. I don't know. That's also probably another issue that I have to discuss. A lot of these videos, when I discuss players like Mike Conley, I don't take into consideration the contract situation of Zach Lavine. Are you able to bring them both into this team at the same time for a long time? Because Mike Conley can't just be a one-year rental. He's not going to be that guy for us. He's going to be here for 2 years. He's going to be here for maybe 3. And that is something that's important, because we need players that are veteran leaders on this team to help the young guys for a long period of time. Mike Conley will bring that. So that is another issue as well that I have to be honest, I have to talk about. Can you keep Mike Conley and Zach Lavine on the same team with Nikola Vucevic in the end also on the team as well? That's going to be a very difficult thing to do. But if we can do that, if he doesn't get paid a whole lot of money, we need to be an option there. We need to present our case to Mike Conley and say, look, this is the team that we have right now. You're going to be the guy that will take us to the next level. We believe in your capabilities. We believe in the way that you play. I love the way that Mike Conley plays. I believe he's the guy that can take us to the playoffs. And not only that, I think he's the guy that can make us go past the first round in the playoffs. And we see where we can go from there. Because in the end, if we make it past the first round, we have something in this team that can make us go past the second and maybe go to where the Atlanta Hawks went this year in the Eastern Conference Finals semifinals and maybe the finals. You just don't know. One player could really be that difference. Maybe one player can help the other players become the difference. It's as simple as that. In my opinion, that is what Mike Conley brings to a team. And that is why the Utah Jazz are having a phenomenal year. That's why they've had such a great time. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is a fantastic player. Rudy Gobert is a fantastic player. But Mike Conley is the third guy on that team that you might not really hear a whole lot about. Maybe question his all-star appearance, but by God, he does impact that team. And I seriously believe most Utah Jazz fans that you ask will probably say the same thing. He impacts their team massively. And it may not be the main talking point, but it's a big talking point for the Utah Jazz. So there's nothing more I would like than the Chicago Bulls to at least pursue Mike Conley. In the end, if he goes to Utah, if he goes to any other team, fair enough. He goes to another team. We weren't the team for him. He didn't like what we had, and that's okay. We move on. But as the Chicago Bulls that want to aggressively attack our point guard position, Mike Conley needs to be at the tier where we strongly consider him. It's as simple as that. He's not the Lonzo Ball, in my opinion. He's not the first option on this team. I still think Lonzo will be the first option on this team. We can't get Lonzo, then Mike Conley, in my opinion, is right up there for some players that we need to go after, because I think he could be that impactful for this team. And we shall see what happens. I think Utah's where he will stay. I don't see the reason of why you're going to leave a potential championship winning team over a few years down the line. He could very well be making some good money on a very good team. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Mike Conley. But at the end of the day, only time's going to tell. He may very well leave Utah. And if he does, I want the Chicago Bulls to be a good option for him. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We'll continue the discussion. Once again, if you have any suggestions on players that you want me to discuss from the NBA, from abroad, again, I may have to do research on some of these players at the end of the day, because I'm not perfect. I don't know every single player in every single league. It's difficult for me to watch every single league and study them, but I will discuss players that you recommend. So feel free to recommend any players that I haven't already mentioned in the comments below, and we will continue the discussion. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned. Take care and peace.